I can still hear it. The sound of ribs cracking isn't something you ever forget. There's a cold, sharp snap, almost quiet, but it cuts through everything. People talk like war leaves its scars somewhere far away, on some distant battlefield. That's a lie. Sometimes, war finds you again in the middle of your own driveway, when you're just trying to live a regular life. That's how it happened to me. Brookhaven Hills, Texas, just a suburb where the most dangerous thing should have been a squirrel in the road, where I spent 7 years trying to bury my past in the Navy SEALs under quiet lawns and Saturday barbecues, convincing myself I'd learned to breathe easy again. It was a gold-washed Saturday morning, the kind where sunlight burns off the last of the mist, and you tell yourself, this is peace. This is normal. I had a sponge in one hand, hose in the other, washing down my old Ford F-150, watching the water sparkle across the paint, feeling almost like just another neighbor. Almost. My wife, Sarah, 12 years together, stepped out in her blue sundress, barefoot, juggling grocery bags, humming an old pop song. She looked like the softest thing in a hard world. I caught myself staring, leaned on the hose just to watch her one more second. She caught me and grinned. That "I see you" kind of grin, and said, "Not helping at all, sailor." I shot back, "I'm supervising. It's important work." She shook her head, but behind the laugh there was a crease in her brow, a worry she thought I didn't notice. That was the moment she told me, quiet but sharp, "Saw that gray Malibu again last night. Third time this week, just crawled past at 11. I tried to brush it off, delivery driver, maybe lost." But she pressed, "Packages keep disappearing. The Willis's doorbell camera's dead. Doesn't that seem weird?" I wanted to keep things light, so I just shrugged, told her if there was a threat I'd see it coming. She just sighed, soft and tired, and I could hear the old scars in her breath, the kind you don't see, but that never heal. Truth is, I felt it too. The prickling on your neck when headlights slow at your curb, the way your brain starts doing the old soldier math, cataloging threats. But I swallowed it. She'd had enough sleepless nights when I was overseas, and I wanted her to have peace. Water on chrome, kids laughing, lawn mowers buzzing 2 houses down. That should have been enough. But Sarah crouched by the SUV, arranging groceries, and told me, "You always think I worry too much. One day, you're going to wish you listened." I tried to make her laugh, told her that's why I married her. Someone's got to keep me paranoid. But her smile didn't quite reach her eyes. The signs were all there, looking back. Packages missing. Cameras yanked. Footprints by the gate that weren't ours. The same cigarette, but on our mailbox 2 mornings running. A back fence latch half undone. Sarah started double-checking locks, glancing at the street when cars rolled by slow. You know, all the small things you ignore because you want to believe in ordinary days. And then there was that car. The gray Malibu. Creeping around corners, always just a little too slow, always just far enough away not to do anything, until they did. The night before, I'd been fixing a hinge on the gun safe in the garage when I heard tires on gravel outside. By the time I got out there, the street was empty, but the air felt thick. Sarah asked why I was so quiet at dinner. I said I was tired. What we didn't know was that behind the scenes, this wasn't random. The president of the neighborhood's so-called HOA, a guy named Richard Kane, was trying to buy up a row of older homes cheap, including ours. When neighbors wouldn't sell, he started using intimidation. Guys like Troy Maddox and Cal Rivers, running fake citations, threats, little accidents. It worked on some folks. The Johnsons packed up and left in a weekend. Other families just started keeping their heads down. But Kane? He never showed his face. Men like that let others get dirty. So, that morning, I was still washing the truck when I saw 2 men coming up the driveway. One tall, with a thick beard and an orange vest, the other stockier, arms covered in old ink. Both in cheap sunglasses, both moving with a kind of confidence that says, "I've done this before." The tall one flashed a badge, a plastic fake, plain as day, and barked, "Ma'am, you're in violation of HOA regulations." Sarah straightened up, chin high, and told him, "We don't have an HOA on this street." The man took a step closer, all intimidation. "Multiple complaints," he said, rattling off nonsense about trash and vehicles. The stocky one hung back, flipping through a clipboard, eyes scanning our porch, our garage, the side gate. I shut off the hose and watched. There's a rule you learn early. Don't escalate unless you have to. I figured they were bluffing, until the bearded man reached for Sarah, fingers clamping hard around her arm. She tried to pull away, groceries tumbling, and he shoved her. She caught the curb and went down hard. The sound her ribs made, it was soft, almost delicate, but it made the world stop. The stocky man rifled through her purse. Calm as you please. The bearded one stood over her like nothing had happened. Sarah tried to rise, breath rasping, hand clutching her side. I started forward, boots splashing through puddles, every step winding me tighter. Back off, the man barked. I didn't answer. I just saw red. Sarah, twisted on the ground, breath short, fear in her eyes. Then I moved. I closed the gap, years of training snapping into place. Troy tried to raise his arm, too slow. I hit him with a hip throw, clean, hard, the kind you never forget. He hit the concrete with a grunt. I planted myself between Sarah and Cal, the second man, whose hand was going for something at his belt, a knife. For a second, I thought I'd have to take him down too. But then, Sarah, hurt, barely able to move, yanked a pepper spray can from her purse and hit Cal full in the face. That gave me a window. I sprinted for the porch, hands fumbling for the safe, heart pounding, mind locked on the routine. 3 steps, hidden latch, the cool grip of my old M4 carbine sliding into my palm. The gun was heavy, familiar, a promise kept. I spun, brought it up, safety off, sights raised. Step away from her. I ordered, steady. Troy helped Cal stagger back toward their car, the battered Malibu. They hesitated, caught between fight and flight. For a heartbeat, the world balanced on a knife edge. Then the Malibu's engine roared. They jumped in, doors slamming, tires screeching as they tried to bolt. That's when the last part of me, the part that knows hesitation gets you killed, took over. I put 6 rounds into that car. Fender, mirror, hood, tire, back window, trunk. Each shot deliberate. The car spun, crippled, smoke pouring out. Troy and Cal bailed out. Hands up, faces white. I kept the rifle trained, calm, unmoving. On the ground, face down. They obeyed. Neighbors poured out. Phones up, sirens in the distance growing louder. I finally let out the breath I'd been holding and lowered the rifle, but didn't put it away. Paramedics loaded Sarah into the ambulance. Cops asked 100 questions, and I gave them the facts, plain and simple. Assault, knife, threat, 6 shots, no intent to kill. Just stop the threat. The next days were a storm. News crews, social media videos. Some called me a hero, others called me reckless. I tried to tune it out, but it found me anyway. Texts, calls, headlines. The police found stolen mail, fake HOA badges, a handgun under the seat in that Malibu. The DA took their time, but finally ruled the shooting justified. Texas Castle Doctrine, plain and simple. Troy and Cal went to prison. Kane, the HOA shark, got indicted too. Turns out the paper trail led right back to him. Cash payments, text messages, even bar security footage. The jury took a single day. But victory doesn't feel like what you expect. When Sarah came home, moving slow but smiling, I carved a small sign above the gun safe on the porch. This home is protected by righteous fury. She touched the words and said, "It's not about anger. It's about knowing where the line is." She was right. It was about holding that line for each other, even when the world tries to break you. By summer, Sarah could finally laugh without flinching. We hosted a cookout. Friends, cautious neighbors, the smell of grilled corn and charcoal. It felt like normal, but I still kept the safe close, the key always on me. Not because I expected trouble, because I'd learned peace isn't given, it's defended. Every sunset, I'd look at the porch, at the sign, at Sarah sitting beside me, and I'd remember that some scars you keep watch over, not with fear, but with the quiet strength of someone who's come through fire and chosen to stay. So here's what I learned. Sometimes your point man is your wife, and you better trust her gut. Sometimes the enemy isn't in a uniform, and sometimes justice comes slow, but it comes. I'm not saying I'm a hero, and I'm not saying I'd want to live it again. But I'll tell you this, when the line came to my driveway, I didn't step back. And now I want to hear from you. Was I right? Did I go too far? Where's the line between protecting your family and becoming what you fear? Let's hear it in the comments. Tell me where you're watching from. Tell me your story. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, pass it on. Because sometimes the quietest streets have the loudest fights for what matters most.